Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I've been getting a lot of questions about smart money concepts, and in particular, the question about what a break of structure or a change of character is has been coming up a lot. When I first learned these terms, it confused me as well, so I figured it would be best to make a video about them to cover them in greater detail. Before we get started, I'll leave several discount codes for trading services I use in the description, including Sonar Labs, TradeEdX, Voland, and Elite Trader Fund. Lastly, if you enjoy this content, don't forget to like and subscribe to help me grow this channel. It really does help the channel grow, and it means a lot. With all that being said, let's get right into it. So, the first thing we need to understand is market structure, and I've done several videos about this, so I won't spend too much time on this particular topic, but the thing you need to understand is market structure determines whether or not it's going to be a break of structure or a change of character, meaning if we're going to continue with the current structure or if we're going to change that structure. So you can see here, this is actually, the market would be in a downtrend, where this yellow line is actually the price action. So we have our first swing high, and we come down and make a low. Then we come up and make a lower high, which signifies that we're likely going to be in a downtrend. And then we end up breaking that previous low, which is a break of structure, to make a new low. So that's why it's considered a downtrend. And a break of structure is essentially just a trend continuation. So if we look at it with actual price action here, you can see we've been in an uptrend, and then all of a sudden we start this downtrend, and we can see every time we pivot, we're making lower highs. We make a low, make a lower high, make a low. This is sort of a weak low here. Make a same high as before, and then we break this previous area here, which is called a break of structure, and proceed down. Now, when we break this zone right here, this actually creates an order block, and that the same is true for change of characters, which I'll talk about in a second. Now, what we want to do is we would want to take shorts if price action retraced into this order block. Now, a change of character is very similar to a break of structure. It just means, so in here you can see we've actually been in a downtrend. So we make a low, make a high, make a low. And this is actually a lot of consolidation, which can be difficult to read. And oftentimes you'll get a lot of small change of characters and false signals. That's why it's important to make sure you're looking at the overall price action and understanding what these actually mean. But you can see we ultimately do start to continue down here. We make a break of structure, which would leave behind an order block. And then when we get down here, we actually make this sort of a double bottom. It's not a perfect double bottom. It's not equal lows. But we can see that we're getting a lot of buying power down here, pushing this back up. And on the second try, we actually push it up to the point where we break this previous high point, and it officially becomes a change of character. Now at that point, it means that the market is likely going from a downtrend to an uptrend, and we don't want to take anything right away. We want to wait for the order block that was created to get retested. So you can see when we finally do come back down, and we come back right in that zone, that calls that initial change of character, and then we have this huge run up off of it. And that's the concept of how order blocks are created. So, and that's what's really important to understand, is that both break of structures and change of characters create order blocks. And we want to wait for price action to retest those order blocks before we take entries off of. And if you've seen my last few videos, you've seen that the indicator I've been using, that I made myself, or other indicators that I've been using, help find these order blocks on their own. And that's how they do it. They purely base it off of change of characters and break of structures. So you can see in this case, we were in an uptrend. Previously we were in a downtrend, and then we have a change of character here. And the candles that caused the change of character created this big order block down at the bottom, this bullish order block. And whenever that bullish order block was retested, we had a nice move higher. And the same is true for up here, when we had a change of character here, when these low points were broken, which created a bearish order block. And eventually, when that bearish order block was tested, we had a nice move down. And you can see that there are other order blocks that get created in here. This price action, this is a screenshot of the price action that's mostly been played out. There were many other order blocks that were created in between all of this, but the big ones that existed at the top and bottom of this range are what's shown here. And you can see those order blocks were still present even after the entire day had ended. Now, the way I use change of characters on trend sessions, and break of structures, I should say, it's really both, is when it's a trend session, you always want to trade with character. So in this case, it's obvious we're in a downtrend where we're making these weak highs essentially. We're not even really coming past previous highs at all. So we make a low, make a weak high, make a new low, and we make another weak high, and when we have this break of structure here and push it lower, at that point it creates an order block up here. And the same can be said. We have a lot of consolidation here, and we get some weak change of characters, but nothing that you can see is mostly just consolidation, which can throw the indicator off. However, when we do finally push below this consolidation, continuing with the overall character, continuing with the overall trend of the session, we create a new order block. So the idea is, as this price action came up and went, this purple right here is a fair value gap, and then right above it is an order block. When we have a fair value gap, I've talked about this before in other videos, but when we have a fair value gap that's below an order block, it helps indicate the strength of that order block. So this would be a fantastic short opportunity because we have several confluences here. We're with character on a trend session that's in a downtrend. We have the VWAP here, and we have an order block that created a fair value gap. So taking a short entry anywhere in here and then having the stop above the VWAP is pretty much a no-brainer, and it's one of my favorite setups actually. But that's why this order block existed, was because of this break of structure on the continuation of this downtrend. And then when it comes to range sessions, order blocks can still be potent, as you saw previously. However, this is where it's important to also use volume profile and even price action levels to play it. You can see we do have an order block that was created up here with the pre-market price action. And every time we retested that order block, we would have had a fantastic short. And these are the days that we need to be patient, where we have these ranges where we're just chopping around in. And the same can be true for these lows. When we come back into these lows and test them, that's where we want to take longs. You may or may not have an order block in there. And that's what's important to note, is that when we have a range session, you can't really purely trade with character, because we're just chopping back and forth with the same range. So a change of character isn't as potent as it is during a trend session. And I just wanted to point that out because you do need to trade them differently. And if you're not sure what I mean by trend session or range session, be sure to check out one of my more recent videos where I talk about identifying range sessions and trend sessions. Usually you can determine what it's going to be before the market even opens. And I get into ways that you can do so in that video. So be sure to check that out if you're not sure what I'm talking about here. So that's all I wanted to cover here. Hopefully that helped you figure out what the difference was between a change of character and break of structure and why they're important. And as always, I appreciate you watching. And if you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know.